Welcome in. It is Big Ten Today on this Tuesday. We are presented by Gatorade. Great to have you with us, Dave Revson and Raphael Davis. You think about college basketball this weekend. I mean, upsets galore throughout the country. We didn't really have that in the Big Ten. We had a near upset, certainly with Michigan State and Purdue, although I'm not sure it would have been that big a shocker had the Spartans pulled it out, given the way things are working in this league and, frankly, how good they are. But, man, it was a heck of a game, Raphael.
It's a big-time matchup, and I love how Purdue, Michigan State has formed into this big-time rivalry. When I played at Purdue, you would have thought the rivalry had been, I hated IU, I hated Indiana, but that wasn't the case. I really disliked those dudes in East Lansing at Michigan State. I was able to beat them one time my senior year, and that was enough for me. That was a big-time game.
This was a fabulous game, and I think what was so great about it is, as we visited in our big story, is the game was about players making plays rather than someone losing the game. It was about a team winning the game. That team, of course, was Purdue. Fletcher Lawyer was phenomenal. He had 17. Tyson Walker was great. Michigan State, he had 30, but came down to the Boilermakers pulling it out. Zach Edey hitting down low to give them a 1-point lead and a 64-63 win. They are now 17-1. Again, I can't emphasize enough. I mean, to me, the real thing that stood out was the shot making. You look at the last 16 shots in this game, 13 of them went in between the two teams. That's really remarkable, particularly given how good both these teams are defensively. This was just a high-level game, right?
It was high-level game, high-level players just executing down the stretch. And for Purdue, Fletcher Lawyer, the freshman, in that second half was just unbelievable. 14 points in the half, made all of his free throws. He wanted the ball in his hands down the stretch. And that's something that's not normal for a freshman on the road, especially in a hostile environment. Look at those last 4 minutes and 15 seconds. Fletcher either scored or assisted on 14 straight points.
Crazy.
This was big time. And then you have Zach Edey, 32 points, 17 rebounds. He is such a load. He's around 300 pounds. Coach Izzo may tell you he's around 400 pounds. But when he plays 37, 38 minutes in a game, it just does something to the opposing big man when you got Zach just wailing on you. Purdue just ended up wearing Michigan State out on the road, took care of the ball. 16 of 18 free throws made. They helped themselves.
And yet Michigan State one stop away from beating them. But you can't say enough about Fletcher Lawyer. And I had the game against Nebraska on Friday night when Fletcher Lawyer was bombing from three-point range. It's just incredible to think how good both these freshmen are in the backcourt, Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer. And Zach Edey, I mean, second game this year better than 30 and 15. He's the only Big Ten player to do that multiple times in a game in the last 25 years. When one of those guards is on and when Edey is on, which is seemingly all the time, man, they're hard to beat. Again, give a ton of credit to Michigan State because they almost did it. Yep. I mean, again, you are one play away from doing it, but man, Purdue's tough.
And you think about in this game, they didn't shoot it particularly well from the deep. They didn't go 4 for 10 from three-point line. It wasn't a game where Purdue made 8, 9 threes in it. Then they still found a way. Fletcher Lawyer wasn't making shots from the three-point line. He got to the basket, got to his mid-range game, and the offensive continuity was just flowing. He had 18, 19 assists on 22 made field goals. That's just the execution you got to have when you're on the road. When you're on the road in the Big Ten, you can't beat yourself. You can't get out-rebounded by 10. You can't turn the ball over 10, 12 times, and you can't miss free throws. Purdue did that, and it's great to watch those young guys grow up in front of our eyes. I mean, me and Mike DeCourcier, we were arguing about which one would be freshman of the year in the conference. And when you got two guys competing to be freshman of the year in your backcourt, it's a special season.
Yeah, no, it really is. And it's funny to think back to the offseason and we wondered about their guard play, about the point guard spot in particular. And again, Braden Smith has answered those questions. Again, I don't want to lose Michigan State's performance in all of this because you think about, look, Malik Hall's going to be out for an extended period now, it sounds like. Tyson Walker was just unbelievable. I mean, 30 points in this game. That's the most by a Michigan State player against a top 5 team since Morris Peterson in 1999. He did everything he could to win this game, and it does feel like even without Malik Hall, Michigan State is going to be a threat here down the stretch in the Big Ten.
And I love the decision that Coach Izzo made to put Tyson Walker solely at the two-guard position. Let him play off the ball and get deep into his bag. And he was deep in his bag in this game. And I look at that last jumper he hit. Ethan Morton is about 6'7", 220, 225 pounds. Tyson Walker may be 5'10", 150, 160. And he put him in the blender, ended up hitting a pretty jump shot over him. They just found a way. And Michigan State, the best play down the stretch. Give Tyson the ball. Everybody get out the way. Purdue playing this drop coverage with this ball screen. It was nothing they can do. And then you had A.J. Hogarth. He was cooking. He had 8 assists. He only had 2 turnovers. Their backcourt is special. It was at a point where it was Zach Edey versus A.J. Hogarth and Tyson Walker, and those guys were just going at it.
You had that last possession for Michigan State before the desperation shot, but the one where Walker hit the shot to put him ahead. And really, it was just, he got at the top of the key and basically just dribbled around and probed and dribbled some more and hesitated, kind of thinking, oh, that's the play,
Found
really?
the spot. Yep.
And yeah, it was because he put it in. He really was something else. But Purdue just figuring out a way now. They're 3-1 in conference games decided by 3 points or fewer. They were 3-4 in such games a year ago. Rutgers exacting revenge on Ohio State. Remember, they lost in controversial fashion in Columbus. They get the win in Piscataway. This will forever be known to me as the Mawat Mag game.
Man, Mawat Mag was big time. Mawat Mag was 5 for 24 from 3 coming into this game. He was shooting 20% from the three-point line. When I was in college, on that scouting report, it would have said, give extra help off of Mawat Mag.
Right.
And I love his confidence. 15 points, but 8 big rebounds. He defended well. Paul Mulcahy, he had the trust in his guy to hit him in that corner. He made a big shot, plus 17 on the game. He had it rolling. Cliff Amore, 6 blocks with those long arms. I got to say, I went to Purdue. I got a bachelor's in defense. I got a master's in defense from Purdue. But I got to go to Rutgers and get my honorary doctorate of defense. Because those dudes out there, those last 4 minutes of the game, they had Ohio State, which is one of the best offenses in the country, let alone the Big Ten. They go 4 for 16 from the field to finish the game. It was just big-time defense all around.
They're really good. Again, we've seen them slip a couple of times, but they do have the win over Purdue. So they're a game back of Purdue. But remember, they have the tiebreaker. I know you've been saying all along that you think this is a Rutgers team that can win the Big Ten. And we are starting to see that. I mean, the big shots they made to knock off Northwestern last week on the road, Camp Spencer was just phenomenal. They have enough offense. I mean, this was not, I shot 34% in this game. They're not a great offensive team, and no one's going to mistake them for one. But they're so good on defense, Raphael, that it feels like, again, Purdue's the front runner.
Right.
But it absolutely feels like Rutgers, if you're looking at who else is in that conversation, they may be the first team you mentioned.
I know, and I know I'm beating a dead horse, but they should have won that game at Ohio State.
Right.
It just sucks that they didn't because they will be right there with Purdue. But the magic number to beat this Rutgers team is 75 points. If you're a team like Iowa, you can get up and down. You have multiple guys that can go and get 20. You can make 12 threes in a game. Those are the teams that's going to give Rutgers trouble. But if you don't have multiple guys, you can't get there. When you play in the 50s and the 60s, that's where Rutgers likes to play because offensively, that's where they're at. That's where they steal points as far as they call 17 turnovers a game. They hit the offensive glass. They wear you out. Cam Spencer is coming to his own offensively. He's making shots, moving the ball. But once they get into you defensively and they swarm you, it was tough for Ohio State to even get the ball past the three-point line, let alone get into their offense. This defense can carry them. And one thing about defense is it travels. You can pack it in your suitcase and you can take it with you. So when they're not making shots on the road, that defense going to go with them.
What do you make of the Buckeyes real quick? 4 straight losses here.
Bryce Sensabaugh is a walking 20 points. I don't know why he didn't start in that one. It may have threw off his rhythm a little bit, but it almost was if we let Bryce Sensabaugh get his 20 and we guard everybody else. Everyone outside of Bryce Sensabaugh shot 30% from the floor. Those guys just didn't have it going. And once Ohio State, they didn't move the ball. Only 6 assists, 9 turnovers. This is a very fluent offense. They like to run their stuff. Yeah. They like to move off of screens, get the ball to Zed Key. It just felt like Rutgers took them out of everything they wanted to do.
I mentioned 4 straight losses. I mean, outside of Minnesota at home, I don't think any of the losses individually makes you wonder for even a second. I mean, they've lost to really good teams. Yeah. But you put them together collectively, and it does make you wonder kind of what's up with this team. They'll try to end their skid at Nebraska coming up tomorrow. Indiana desperately needed a win, and they got one on Saturday against Wisconsin at home. And, man, for a team that had played dreadful defense for a long stretch of several games, they really stepped up on that end of the court.
And I look solely at that second half. That second half was just a game changer, especially defensively. They got Wisconsin shoot the ball 31% from the field. Wisconsin shoots 19% from the three-point line. They turn it over a few times. IU really took them out of everything they wanted to do. But it started with Trace Jackson-Davis in the second half. 14 of his 18 came in the second half. He was 7 of 7 from the field, just dominated the game. 5 blocks on the night, 4 assists. He did everything to get this team going. Hood Schifino, 12 points in the second half. But I think the key player in this one was Jordan Geronimo. He had been struggling big time all season. He's been hearing it from his coaches, from the fans, probably from his family. So for him to come out and put in 12 points, 11 rebounds, 5 on the offensive end, I think that really separated things.
And again, defense really resonated. Fewest points they've allowed against a ranked team since 1983. Badgers struggling a little bit. We'll talk about them here in a bit as we preview tonight. Again, they've got a game coming up at home against Penn State. 2 weeks ago, Iowa had lost 3 in a row, seemed completely lost. They are lost no longer. 4 straight wins now for the Hawks. Our big stat brought to you by Gatorade, showing off their impressive numbers during that streak, scoring better than 85 points per game, shooting nearly 50% from the field, better than 41% from 3. The most recent win came on Sunday against Maryland. They led virtually the entire way. Tony Perkins was just incredible. Career high 22 points for him. What stood out to you about the way that Iowa took care of the Terps?
I think it was Tony Perkins. Tony Perkins had really struggled in the 2 games coming into that one. It was struggled so bad that towards the end of that previous game, Coach McCaffrey put Tony Perkins on the bench to finish the game out. And had to have a talk with Tony after the game to let him know it wasn't anything you did. Those other guys just had it rolling. And Tony Perkins figured a way out to affect this game, stay on the floor. 24 points, 10 to 13 from the field. He didn't even attempt a three-pointer. And that's just simply because now you have guys making shots in the floor space. You got Chris Murray on one side. You can't leave him. And now Payne Sanford is 10 of his last 18 from 3. You're not going to leave him on the other side. You don't want to help off of Philip Rebraca. Now Tony Perkins just drive to the lane and have his way. I love how he really got going. Then Sanford got going again. Chris Murray gets going. These guys just have a lot of weapons. 70 assists on their last 125 made field goals. Everyone is getting a piece.
I said this on the game broadcast on Sunday. It boggles my mind that Payton Sanford missed 19 straight shots because you watch him shoot, and it always seems like it is going in. He obviously has made up for it here. He's shooting nearly 59% during their winning streak. It's not like this guy shoots a lot of layups either. And I thought what was really impressive, too, is Chris Murray was in foul trouble in the first half. Philip Rebraca did not do a whole lot. Those two had 4 points at halftime, and yet they're still in the lead and then able to extend it when they came back in. Chris Murray almost got to his average of 21 points per game after having 2 at the break. So Iowa does seem like they figured it out. 4 straight wins. Illinois has also won 4 straight. The Illini looking like a totally different team than the one that lost at Northwestern just a couple weeks ago. They crushed Minnesota in the second half yesterday. A lot of balance. Matthew Meyer seems like he might be starting to really figure it out. And I love all the other guys contributing, like the freshmen stepping up. Brandon Lieb, who's barely played at all, gave them some valuable minutes when they had guys in foul trouble. It feels like this is becoming a more cohesive team.
100%. And you could tell in that first half when their guys went out with foul trouble, you got guys like Ty Rogers stepping up, Sincere Harris stepping up. Both of those freshmen had 8 rebounds, and that was huge to keep Illinois in the game and give them the lead in that first half. And then in that second half, they got their guys back on the floor, and they really responded in a big way with their defense. Minnesota goes 27% from the field, 1 of 7 from the three-point line, and they made that 3 late in the game. Illinois took care of the glass as well in the second half. They really limited Minnesota to just 1 shot, plus 15 on the glass in the second half. And then they just pounded the ball inside. It was at a point this year, Brad Underwood called out his guys, too many step back, side step, fadeaway threes, too many my turn basketball. And now they're really sharing it. They're pounding it inside. And now you know how they're going to score points. It was at a point where this team doesn't make shots. If Terrence Shannon doesn't go 8 for 9 from 3 against UCLA, they don't win it. But now they found another identity. Tough on defense, defend the three-point line, and really take care of the paint on the offensive end, share the basketball, and then shoot those spray-out threes.
54 points in the paint.
Yeah.
To your point. And Terrence Shannon didn't have a great game shooting the ball. I mean, look, when he gets going downhill, forget about it. But that they were so reliant, as you said, in some of those games they lost of Brad Underwood said the offense just wasn't familiar to him. It wasn't what he thought they should be doing and what they were working on. They've gone more to this spread approach, and it seems like maybe it fits better with some of their guys. But again, 54 points in the paint is going to win you a lot of games. Michigan really needed a win. They had Northwestern coming in on Sunday, got the job done against the Wildcats game. They went out to the early lead on, but then were trailing at the half, and it was kind of back and forth before Michigan pulled away down the stretch. What did you like about the Wolverines' performance?
The backcourt. Kobe Buffkin, Doug McDaniel, they bought out. They get 37 points combined, and they just took care of business. And that's what you need when your best guys don't have it going offensively. Hunter Dickinson only took 8 shots, got 10 points. Jet Howard didn't have it going. He had 16 points, but once he felt his shot wasn't going in, he did other things. 7 assists. Hunter Dickinson gets 15 rebounds, and they find a way, but they defend it. And that's what this Michigan team is going to have to do. Defend at a high level, be tough on defense, compete in the glass. But I think that backcourt, they just had it going. And Doug McDaniel, he's figuring out how to be a great point guard in the Big Ten.
No doubt. Did a really nice job on the offensive glass in that game as well. It does seem like when they get it going, their offense can really click.
Yeah.
It is hit or miss. I mean, we've seen some really good games from them, and then you watch the Michigan State game, and you just think, man, are they ever going to make a basket? But to do it against a Northwestern defense that's been pretty good this year. It seems like it might be slipping a little bit, but pretty good. Again, I think that speaks to kind of what they can be.
And I think it was at a point in the season where their offense was affecting their defense. When they weren't making shots, when they didn't have it going, they didn't give full effort on the defensive end. And now they're playing through their defense. Their defense is giving them offensive energy. In that second half, Northwestern shoots 38% from the field. They go 1 for 9 from 3. Michigan takes advantage of that. For the game, Michigan shoots 51% from the field. They make 10 three-pointers. They out-rebound you. And then Michigan, all season long, they've taken care of the basketball. So when you play through your defense and then you rely on your offensive principles, other guys step up in their roles. You can only imagine how far this team can go once Hunter gets going again. Jet is an NBA player. And now you have your 2 role guys in the backcourt. They're feeling confident. They're cooking. It's the right time of the year for it.
They head to Maryland on Thursday. Do you think Hunter Dickinson will be fired up for that game?
Amped up, man.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what he's going to say this week.
Northwestern's next game was supposed to be tomorrow, but as it turns out, it will not be. Their coaches had said they had a few players who were under the weather during that game against Michigan. It turns out it was COVID, and it impacts the game they have scheduled for tomorrow. Northwestern and Iowa, game that was supposed to air here on Big Ten Network, has been postponed. Northwestern does not have enough healthy scholarship players. The 2 schools are going to work with the conference to reschedule it. The Cats' next game is scheduled for Saturday at home against Wisconsin, also a Big Ten Network game, so clearly we'll keep you posted on that. It is time to go around the Big Ten. The conference continues to excel on the ice. The latest poll features 4 Big Ten teams in the top 8 nationally, led by number 2 Minnesota. The Gophers will face 8th-ranked Michigan at home this weekend. Couple huge showdowns. You can catch the second of the 2 games on Big Ten Network Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern. On the mat, Iowa superstar Spencer Lee showed why he is a 2-time Hodge Trophy winner, pinning the 3rd-ranked wrestler in the country at 125 and Michael D'Agostino this weekend. It was a big part of Iowa's 27-9 victory over number 11 Northwestern. The second-ranked Hawkeyes will face number 16 Nebraska on Friday. You can see that on the Big Ten Network. And over the weekend, Indiana women's basketball improved to 16-1, beating Wisconsin by 37. They're off to their best start in nearly 50 years. Coach Teri Moren tied the program's all-time record for wins, her 188th victory at the helm of the Hoosiers, Mackenzie Holmes led the way with 29 points and 8 rebounds. You tie a record, you get on Big Ten Today. That's just the way it works. Teri Moren joins us now. She is our big interview. Coach, congratulations on that record. We'll get to your team in a moment because I know that's what you want to talk about. But milestones, I think, always give you a moment to reflect, and particularly for someone like you who grew up in Southern Indiana as a Hoosiers fan. What does it mean now to be tied as the all-time winningest coach at this school that means so much to you?
Well, it's terrific, but as I always say, I did very little of that. I didn't have the assist, I didn't score any of the points, or get any of the rebounds and, play the stingy defense that we like to play. But, certainly it's great to be a part of it. I've had terrific staffs that have been, Rhett Weir's has been with me the longest, so he also is, right there with the 188 wins as well. But, I've had terrific players that have come through this program. And, from the beginning, the Alexis Gassians to the Tyra Busses, Amanda Cahill, Brenna Wises, I could go on and on, to all the terrific players, Allie Patberg, that have played here at Indiana. And certainly are the, why, we're looking at the record that it is today. But I'd much rather talk about our team, and we always say this, Dave. I mean, anytime any one of us receive an award, it's always a team award, because it takes all of us to do, have the success, whether it's on or off the floor. And, so this is more of a team award than it is an award that, and I don't take it lightly, but, has more to do with this program and the players that have been inside of it.
Fair enough. So let's dive into the program. And it's funny, we had you on almost exactly a year ago. It'll be a year ago on Thursday. And your team was off to a 15-2 start, and we were raving about how great that was. Now, the team was in COVID quarantine, so that was a bit of a challenge. I recall we had you on from your basement, if I remember correctly. But we were raving about you guys. Well, you're better this year. Now you're 16-1, and on top of that, fortunately, not in COVID quarantine. How would you assess this team, maybe compared to these last 2 years where you've been really great as well?
Well, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but, we do have a different team. We added some scoring power with the likes of Sarah Scalia and Sid Parrish that's joined us. We have a terrific guard in Yarden, Garzone. And then Chloe has improved her three-point percentage. Obviously Grace Berger running the show for all of us. But we have added scoring power to this year's team. And I thought that's what we lacked a year ago. Although we had a great group, talented in their own right, just didn't have the ability to knock down shots beyond the arc or be a threat. We want to be able to shoot it better than we are currently as I'm sitting here today. But feel like we have a lot of confidence in those guys that are in that locker room that can knock down long-range shots for us. And it's just a matter of time before I think we have a big night where everybody sort of gets going. But have a deeper team than we had a year ago. We're bringing some other really good pieces off the bench that has given those starters some time to rest. We didn't have that the last year or 2 years ago. We played a short bench. So this is a different team with the same same goals that we always have, and that's to, obviously win and be successful. And there's some long-term goals out there, but, we're still taking one game at a time mentality.
You mentioned the offensive firepower, and it certainly is significantly better than it has been these past couple years. And as you said, a lot of it is personnel-based. It's simply based on bringing in some new players. That being said, it's pretty clear that the identity of your program, or kind of the non-negotiable in your program, maybe the best way to put it, is playing defense. And so how do you balance that out? I mean, everyone wants to score. Everyone who plays basketball wants to put the ball in the basket. How do you balance out kind of saying, hey, we do need to be a better offensive team, versus making sure that foundation and that principle remains the first priority?
Right. Well, again, it's why people come to Indiana, because hey, the cards are on the table when you come and visit us. We're going to tell you that this is a team that really prides itself. Our identity is on the defensive side of the ball, and if you're willing to do that, if you're willing to understand that and embrace this idea that yes, we want to play fast, we want to put points on the board, but what's going to be as equally as important is going to be what we do defensively. We're going to be stingy. We're going to be blue collar. We're going to be gritty. We're going to be tough. Our rotations are going to hopefully be on point. We're going to lock our heels, into the floor, as we say, and really guard you hard and make it difficult and try to take away things that other teams, want to do. And so we've managed to find those kids, that sort of bought into that. We don't have to trick them. You hit it on the head. It's a non-negotiable with us. You're either going to play with great effort and great intensity on both sides of the ball, particularly that defensive side, because that's an intangible that you need. And if you don't, it's real easy. You'll have to, not that we don't love you, but you're going to have to probably sit next to me until you kind of figure that out.
Oh, what's amazing is that you did a lot of this with one of your best players sitting next to you, not because she didn't play great defense, but because she was injured. Grace Berger,
Right.
who of course got hurt in late November in a tournament out in Las Vegas. She's been back now for 3 games, and she's been fabulous, as you would expect. Give people a sense who maybe don't know your program all that well of what Grace Berger means to Indiana basketball.
Well, she means everything, and it's crazy to think that she's been out for 6 weeks, and when she returned to Northwestern, it's like she never she didn't skip a beat, and that just tells you a little bit about her specialness. I mean, she is a 3-level scorer, but she is our point guard. She's our leader. She is probably one of the most skilled, if not the most skilled player that I've ever had the opportunity to coach, because she can score at every level, but she's exceptional, with the ball in her hands. She always seems to make the right play. She makes other people around her better. And I think that's what separates her. She makes everyone else around her better. And we're all, grateful and so happy that she's back with us, because, we certainly have missed her. We've missed her being the facilitator. We've missed her being the leader out there on the floor. This is a kid she loves this game. She is the ultimate competitor, and it resonates, in that locker room. And everybody I know, her teammates, look at her. She is our leader, and we're going to follow her as however deep she wants to take us. I think we're all right there, with Grace Berger.
I'm always amazed at how young people deal with adversity, Coach. And not only has she had the injury issues, but she lost her grandfather last week, 94 years old, her biggest fan. How have
Right.
you seen her kind of deal with that, deal with the personal stuff in terms of the injury, deal with the off-the-court stuff, and still play as well as she's played?
Well, again, she has a terrific family. Her mom and dad and a brother and sister. She comes from a wonderful, close, tight-knit family, and so I think her support, certainly. When she was injured, either her dad was here or her mother was here with her the entire time through her recovery until she could drive. And obviously, I'm sure that in the passing of her grandfather, their support has been there, for each other as well. But, and I want to say this the right way, but Grace is the ultimate poker player. I mean, you would never know. She never gets too high. She never gets too low. She is the most even keel, steady as you go human being, young person that I've ever been around. She has a way of being able, whether it's to compartmentalize what she's going through, but she was very eager in her recovery from her knee. The good news was it didn't require surgery, so she was, let's attack my recovery right now. Let's get back as quickly as I can. And then here the last couple days, she's been a little bit more somber than normal, which is to be expected. But I can tell you this: Grace will use the passing of her grandfather as great motivation, to propel her into tomorrow night's game and throughout the rest of the season, because I know that they had a very special relationship.
How about Mackenzie Holmes? I think that everyone who follows Big Ten basketball, even tangentially, knows about Caitlin Clark. Deservedly, she gets all kinds of hype, and of course, she's the Big Ten's leading scorer. Mackenzie Holmes is second, and has been such an incredible, steady presence for you,
right.
Spectacular at times. Where have you seen her make the biggest strides in what's already an incredibly well-rounded game?
Well, I think Mackenzie finally feels, like she's, the knee, like she's very healthy. She's very healthy, and I think her cardio is finally where it was prior to the knee injury a year ago. And we've been able to rest her too. We've had some games where she easily, Dave, could be right up there in terms of leading scorers. It's just that we want to rest Mac, we want to protect Mac, on the bench when we do have a lead, because we know that certainly we're going to need her down the stretch. And so she's been putting a lot of points on the board, and for us. But she's also been doing a lot of other really good things in terms of her rebounding. But she has just continued to improve. I just think Mac's confidence right now is at an all-time high. Her cardio, like I said, her body, her knee, everything is feels really good, and she's more mature. That a year of having to go through some adversity makes you stronger in the process, and so she mentally is stronger than she was a year ago as well. And it's a great 1-2 punch we have, and then we have those surrounding cast with Grace Berger and Mackenzie Holmes.
You've been to 4 NCAA tourneys in your time at Indiana. That equals the total number that the program had been to all time before you arrived. And we've seen you guys get within one game of making it to a Final Four, to Elite Eight, to Sweet 16. But you have talked really openly, Coach, about wanting to hang a banner, a national championship banner like the ones that the men's program has in Simon Scott Assembly Hall. How much do you talk about that with your team, that goal? Because you've been open about it with the media. And how do you handle kind of those big picture goals in the midst of what you said earlier is a real grind and kind of, hey, every game we got to focus on game by game?
Well, I think it's important to remember that you have those discussions. Those are private discussions normally that you have within your team and your staff, and then we set out goals for the season. What we want it to look like, and I'm a firm believer that you have to put it out there if you want to achieve it. You have to believe it. You have to write it down. You have to see it every day. Our kids understand, what we're playing for every night that, we suit up, and we have to be great in between the lines, that we are, playing for not just a Big Ten championship, but, a national championship, because we feel like we have everything, in terms of the pieces that we need in order for that to happen. You certainly have to have luck. You can't, you got to stay away from the injuries, and some other things inside of games that always, seem to happen. We want to do that because this is a sacred place, Assembly Hall, and it has all those banners that represent, what the men have been able to accomplish in the age of, where women's basketball is right now. I mean, it just seems fit that at some point, Indiana women's basketball will have its own banner.
Got a huge game coming up tomorrow, taking on Illinois. The Illini have been one of the great stories in women's college basketball this year. Just a dramatic improvement. Give us the scouting report on the Illini. Yeah,
well, you hit it. Shauna's done a tremendous job. Great pieces. Gave us everything we wanted, a couple months ago or a month ago when we opened up with Big Ten play at our place. And so, guard play is really terrific. I mean, they're shooting the ball at such a high level right now. And she's done a great job. She's instilled just, I think, a belief, and that's, a lot of it. You can talk all you want about the X's and O's, but until your kids, have this belief that you can get it done offensively, defensively, together, collectively, as a group. And so it's been a great story. It's been great for the Big Ten, and just another reason why, when I talk all the time about, and I know my other colleagues do also, about this conference, just how good it is, and we continue to fight for the respect. If it's not the best conference in this country right now, Dave, I don't know who is, because from top to bottom, it's improved, it's gotten better, and day in and day out, if you're not ready, wherever you are, you always, like I said, there's some jeopardy there of coming up short and getting beat. But yeah, so this is going to be a great environment. I think I think their fan base has grown a little bit as well. So I know it's going to be a dogfight. There's no question about that. And it's one we're looking forward to.
Well, you are preaching to the choir on the strength of this league, and we've been talking about it here on this show and on this network, just how good it is. A chance to see a really outstanding game coming up tomorrow. And again, your team, of course, has been just an enormous part of making this league what it is. Teri Moren, always fun to catch up with you. Thanks so much, Coach. Congratulations on a really good start to the year.
Thanks, Dave. Good to see you.
Good. We're going to be on the call for that game along with Stephen Bardo. Need to hightail it up to the Kohl Center when we are done here. Penn State has never won at the Kohl Center, not one time. This is certainly a team that seems capable of doing it. Wisconsin has been struggling. What are you watching in this game?
This is such a big game. Coach Shrewsbury took it upon himself to send me a picture of the last time he won in the Kohl Center. My freshman year, we were able to go out there and pull out a win. Well, the last time he won with me on the team. But I'm looking to see if Penn State can keep it going. 18-32 from the three-point game against Indiana. Seth Lundy, Andrew Funk, they both went 7 from 12 from 3. So they made so many shots, it's almost as if, can they do it again? Will they just depend on the three-point line? But Jalen Pickett, he didn't have his greatest offensive game, 12, 8, and 5. But I think he's going to get it going. Wisconsin's going to have to find a way to get Steven Crowl going again, though.
Will be interesting to see if Tyler Wall comes back for this one as well. They have kind of made it seem like he's close in the way that they have spoken about him. So we'll see whether or not he plays. It's amazing the difference with and without him. I was breaking down some of the numbers getting ready for this game. I mean, Raphael, they are averaging 9 more points per game with Tyler Wall on the court than without him, and they are giving up 9 more points per game without Tyler Wall than with him. So you're talking about an 18-point difference between their scoring output and what they're giving up. I mean, it's pretty staggering, the impact that he makes. So clearly they need him back. What else has gone wrong here, though, with Wisconsin? Is it as simple as Tyler Wall, or do you think there's more to it?
I think Tyler Wall just means so much to this team. Preseason All-Big Ten player. He was their Swiss Army knife last year, and this year he just became their juggernaut. He's their best defender, so he normally takes the best guy on the opposing team. And then offensively, he's their paint presence. He's their mid-range presence. He makes great passes out of the post. He handles double teams well and gets other people's shots. He means a lot to this team. But they got to have 3 guys. Wisconsin normally has 3 guys that can get you. Chucky Hepburn has been playing well. Steven Crowl was balling out, but they didn't have a 3rd guy. Connor Season against Indiana, 14 points, 11 rebounds. If he can be a guy they can depend on to get him 12 to 14 points every night, even on the road, you get Steven Crowl going again. He was averaging 20, 4 games straight coming into their last game. He can be a big part. But it could help to get these other guys going, Klesmit, before Wall gets going back.
It's a lot to ask of a freshman, Asijian, but he has been fantastic. I mean, he's the leading scorer off the bench in the Big Ten, just a hair ahead of Illinois' Dane Danger. So perhaps he can be that guy. But I agree with you. It just feels like they need Tyler Wall back. They were so disjointed against Indiana. The turnover numbers weren't extraordinarily high, but the quality of the turnovers at times was a little shocking. We're just like, it was so un-Wisconsin, for a better way of putting it. There are a couple where you're just like, wow.
Yeah.
And it just feels like they're out of sync. And I do think, again, not having your best player,
it matters.
It's a big part of that.
Right.
Yes, especially when you're, as you say, not a team that's particularly deep. In the Big Ten include a big Thursday showdown between Rutgers and Michigan State, plus Indiana and Illinois. That is a really good night on Thursday. Got Michigan and Maryland as well. Iowa going to Ohio State on Saturday. Sunday features Michigan State at Indiana and Maryland visiting Purdue. So some good games in there. Rutgers and Michigan State. Let's start there on Thursday night. That should be a good one. Really interested to see how the Spartans bounce back. I mean, they played so well. That's the kind of game where you feel like, man, this could, I don't want to say define your season, but it could be a game where you're already playing reasonably well, and now you pick up even more momentum, and you think, hey, maybe we can challenge at the very top of this league. This is a really difficult game against a very good Rutgers team. Fascinated to see how Michigan State responds.
And I'm fascinated to see the backcourts. It was at Big Ten Media Day in Minnesota. A.J. Hogarth told the audience, we're the best backcourt in the Big Ten. And you see Paul Mulcahy, Caleb McConnell, Spencer walking around that gym. I don't think they believed it. So I'm really looking forward to this one. Caleb McConnell, Tyson Walker, that's going to be a big-time matchup. Tyson Walker coming off a game where he put up 30 points. Caleb McConnell competing to be Defensive Player of the Year again. A.J. Hogarth, Paul Mulcahy, that point guard battle, that'll be huge. I think it's going to come down to the paint presence. Cliff Amore, Matty Sissoko, Joey Hauser, who dominates the paint out of the big fellas, because that guard game will be big time.
Well, it should be a really good one. Again, Rutgers has won 7 of 8. Michigan State, 2 straight losses. They're coming up on a really challenging stretch of schedule here, including 2 games against Rutgers in the next 5. So I think we're going to learn a ton. You learn about teams every time they take the court, but I think we'll really learn a lot about Michigan State in that stretch. Indiana and Illinois. So now, to me, I wonder about the Hoosiers. Can they pick up some momentum? It's one thing to win at home against a shorthanded Wisconsin team that wasn't playing with a whole lot of confidence. Again, I thought Indiana played really well. I think we both agree that they did. But this is a different animal. I mean, Illinois has got a ton of confidence. You're going into Champaign, hostile environment. What are you watching in this one?
Indiana's defense. Can their identity get back to defending the way they were last year? This is the best defensive team in the Big Ten a season ago, and now they're one of the worst. And they got to guard the three-point line. Illinois is playing very well right now. They're driving the basketball. They're sharing the basketball. A lot of great offensive continuity. Indiana doesn't want to let this come into this gym and let Illinois hit 9, 10 threes and run them out of the gym. They've got to take away the three-point line, but also find a way to turn Illinois into jump shooters and find a way to get the ball to TJD.
I think that's the thing that is concerning from Indiana's point of view is we were just talking about Illinois and the great job they did pounding the ball inside against Minnesota. Race Thompson is so important as an interior defender for Indiana. And in that game against Wisconsin, you saw them rotate a lot of guys through who don't necessarily get a ton of minutes on the interior. Will they be able to hold up against Illinois if the Illini are dumping inside? To me, that's a huge question. Iowa's going to have some extra rest, as it turns out, before they head to Ohio State. It feels like Iowa would want to keep on playing right now. Obviously, nothing you can do about it given the situation with Northwestern. But what do you think about this game against the reeling Buckeyes?
If I'm Ohio State, I want Iowa to have a break and kind of slow them down. But they have it going so well offensively. They're sharing it. Their best guys are playing at a high level. Now you have Tony Perkins attacking the lane, playing in transition. It just gives them an added component. But Ohio State, another guy has to step up. You know what Bryce Sensabaugh is going to give you. He's going to score the basketball. He's going to give you a chance to be in it offensively. But just assuming upperclassmen, you have to play well in the Big Ten every single night. Bruce Thornton as a point guard, you've got to get assists to your guys, get them going early, and then be aggressive. And then I'm looking for that matchup, Zed Key, Philip Rebracha. That'd be big time inside. But those two will be a great matchup. I think Chris Murray, Bryce Sensabaugh will be a great matchup. Who's going to be that third guy for each team?
I just feel like Ohio State needs to find some level of consistency. And it just isn't clear to me that they can. And it's weird because 2 weeks ago I thought they might be the second best team in the league.
It changed quick.
Yeah, it really does. And I guess maybe part of that is a reflection of this league. Again, we mentioned, like, other than Minnesota, there's no glaring losses out there.
Not at all.
For Ohio State. But they're all tough games. I mean, this is kind of what it is. And you get an Iowa team playing really well. That's not exactly a break in the schedule. It's a ton of fun, as always. See you tonight from the Kohl Center, and see you tomorrow on Big Ten Today.